Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. Today we'll be reviewing the games of between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and then we'll also talk about the West Indies versus Bangladesh game. Mustafa and me here will be reviewing the games. Mustafa, before we get started on the games, you were at the stadium, and the videos that you have sent are not for public knowledge. Then the stuff that you sent over, we cannot share that stuff. But that is something else. The kind of atmosphere that was over there, the kind of crazy people that were there, the kind of following that was there. 3-4 hours before the game, also it was a packed stadium and kind of a stuff of dreams, that kind of game.
Yeah, outstanding atmosphere. I was there 3 hours before the game. I just wanted to see, it was a Friday and stuff, so I knew it was a holiday, but I didn't expect that much rush, to be very honest with you. I just thought 3 hours will go easily into the stadium, meet a few people, talk about the game, discuss and stuff. But it was packed to the rafters. 3 hours outside, like everyone was outside. The gates were opening up, and I got to the ground just 1.5 hours before. So like there was still an hour to go for the toss. I was at the ground 4:30. Game starts at 6. I was inside the stadium. I reached the ground at 3 o'clock, and it took me 1 hour to get in. 5, 6 security checks, and first it was only Afghanistan fans. That's all I could see. They were so pumped up. When I went in, again only Afghanistan, but then the Pakistani fans, I think they were just late. They also came in. The section I was in, it was a very good balance. A lot of fun. Honestly, it wasn't like the England where they were throwing chairs at each other like that. It was much more organized. I think in Dubai, we have to give hats off to the security. They were very disciplined, and there was no hassle in that sense. So I didn't see anything from what I saw. But atmosphere, when there's a boundary, Pakistan people shouting, when there's a wicket, Afghanis shouting, it was a lot of fun. Proper game. I enjoyed it as a neutral, and 4 sixes in over, man. To see that live, it's something special. It's something special.
And he was unfazed, man. Asif Ali, I mean, just the way he was over there, he refused a single of the last ball of the 18th over, and he's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna finish this off. 24 of 12 in that kind of a situation. Things can actually go wrong, especially with the pressure and stuff like that comes with a big World Cup game. Of course, very different scenarios. It's not like a knockout game or anything. But even with that 4 sixes in an over, to be able to perform like that and just take your team home with that kind of a swashbuckling innings is quite amazing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And honestly, like 1 6, I thought like he was about to get out, but all the others were clean hits. He kept his calm, and like you said, the way he was playing, he could have got out any ball. He could
Yeah.
have. He was just swinging it, right? And but it also pays off. He's a high risk shot. That's why he really plays like this. I know that a lot of people were against him because he gets out, he throws his wicket, and now that he's clicking, we're all saying you need to play like this. But you do, like when you have like Malik Hafiz and stuff, you need someone like this who can, even if he gets out, he gets out. He won't waste any deliveries. That's the main thing. Even with Fakhar Zaman, he's not clicking, but he's not wasting deliveries. Players like these, I think, outstanding, and they read the matchup well. I don't know if it was planned or not, but they took the game deep. But that's because a high-class bowler like Rashid was bowling. If it was any other bowler, they could have finished this game in the 17th, 18th over. When Rashid Khan's bowling, you have to respect him. That's what they did. Yes, they got out as well. Babar got out to Rashid, and they were under pressure, but they played two matchups. They knew that death bowling won't be as strong, and they made the most of it. It's easy. It's like you said, it's easy to say something, but to actually execute it is a different thing. And I didn't think he would finish in the second last over, but I knew that Pakistan were always in the game and they'll probably win it, even 24 or 12, but not in that over. I didn't think he would hit 4 sixes.
Absolutely. I think very comforting, making sure that now they've cemented their space in the playoffs with only Scotland and Namibia to go. I think they will most likely end up at the first spot in the group.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of who kind of joins them. I think they are pretty much sorted, and they will probably end up in first spot, which is a big deal for Pakistan, because they've played the tougher teams. Now they can go in and experiment a little bit with the slightly lower league teams in Scotland and Namibia, and maybe give a rest to a couple of players that need it, and come back strongly and fresh for the playoff season.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that they would want to experiment is maybe bat first. Today, I don't know why Nabi won the toss. He batted. It was a good toss to bowl first, but I guess he went with that mentality that he didn't want the Pakistani fast bowlers to put them under pressure in the chase. And they did that in the first innings, but in the chase, it could have been maybe a bit worse. But honestly, I would have batted second if I was the captain. It almost paid off though. They took the game deep. They weren't easy to play. I think they were just 10 runs short. In hindsight, you can say anything. They could have still won the game with these amount of runs, right? 24 of 12. One thing that they're missing is a death bowler. Like I think we mentioned before the show, you told me that why didn't Gulbadin Naib bowl? That's a very good question. I don't know if he had an injury or not, because he was batting really well, and maybe he picked up an injury while running. I didn't see him. I don't know. They're saying he should have definitely maybe bowled. But fast bowling has been an issue. The other three bowlers bowled really well. Rashid got Babar once review, then he got him again. He
He
was
got a
outstanding.
drop catch too.
Drop catch as well
Naveen.
of Babar, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was that point I remember. And then the only thing though I would say, like the turning point is Asif Ali, but that Shoaib Malik six to Rashid Khan, that was an outstanding six.
Oof,
I'm not
what a
saying that
shot.
because he's our brother-in-law, Hyderabad's brother-in-law, but like in general, it was a cracking shot. He played a similar one like this against New Zealand. This guy, he's been hitting them well, so that was a really good shot. But yeah, today was Asif Ali's day.
Yeah, absolutely. Just coming back to we mentioned about the toss of Nabi winning the toss and batting first. I think the inexperience in this Afghanistani side showed today in terms of making a couple of decisions that were a little questionable. One was maybe batting first. You know, in hindsight, of course, you can talk a lot, but in conditions that favor the bowlers, going in with the bowling first would always be helpful. And they're not confident enough to do that, so that's a little bit of an experience over there. And then second was the problem of Gulbadin Naib. I don't know what it was. And the third was in pressure situation. You saw that the Afghani bowlers were struggling, except for Rashid. I think everyone else was just a tad bit nervous going in. And you saw that yes, Asif Ali was beautiful with his batting, but Janat Karim, I think, was made it slightly easy for him to get those sixes as well. So your thoughts on a big learning for Afghanistan, no doubt, but some inexperience showing over there.
Yeah, I think the pressure got to them. This is the second time in a World Cup against Pakistan where it's gone close and they've lost a game. And although in that one they're probably in a better position in terms of wickets, they only need a couple of wickets here. I think they did well to take it deep, but pressure situation, yes, and also that's been the weakness. That fast bowling has been a bit weaker compared to the spinning options, and that's why I think Nabi got it slightly wrong. He opened himself with Mujib. I would have opened one of them and kept a fast bowler from the other end. I know it was a lowish total, but like you had spinners to pull it back if they got off to a flyer, right? So I think it was an attacking option. He wanted to get Mohammad Rizwan and Babar out, but I think he could have kept himself back because anyway Fakhr was in there. So that left-handed, bowling away from the left-hander, that option wasn't there. They're going to hit Nabi with the spin, and I think Rizwan got him off to a boundary. So I would have kept himself towards the later end, and maybe bowl keep one over for Mujib in the death, because if your fast bowler is not keep that, I know it's great, but your spinners are doing better. So go with your strength.
Yeah, I think that was the important thing. I think going 4 overs on the trot for Mujib was surprising enough, because you always want to keep a little bit of mystery available, and maybe try Rashid a little bit earlier because you were not getting the wickets when you really needed it. So small things here and there, I think that they could have done a little differently. Of course, like we said, hindsight, we can talk a lot about it, but
I would just add to that.
Yeah,
I would just add to that Pakistan have a very similar issue. It's just the difference they have Shaheen Afridi. If you look at Haris Rauf and Hassan Ali again today, I think apart from maybe the New Zealand game, they've been expensive. Even against India, but they were slightly expensive. Hassan Ali, I remember it was then. Those two have been an issue for Pakistan. It's Shaheen Afridi who's making the difference. Even in his last over, he bowled a no ball and he got hit for a boundary as well. So it's an issue for Pakistan as well. It's not like it's just for Afghanistan. And I think that's where captaincy, you just need to be a bit smarter in your decisions. It's very easy for me to say that, but you know that there is a weakness there. So you have to find ways in trying to hide it or just changing it up to take pressure off that bowler who's not in form.
Yeah, definitely. So a very good exercise or sort of a experience for Afghanistan to take from this, and go into the next few games
Definitely.
all guns blazing, and just try. He's still not out of it, because New Zealand and India will probably play each other, and the loser of that will probably have a more difficult chance to make it to the playoffs. So that's going to be important. So Afghanistan is still not out of it. I think that they have a good chance if they can just go out, play fearless cricket. They have the capabilities to still make the playoffs at the expense of an India or New Zealand, which will be a big deal for them.
Yeah, they still have a chance, and they showed Pakistan today that they're up for it. They'll give a tough fight. They'll give it to India also, because India, we know, against spin, they're not the greatest team. They're not the same team as they were before, right? They don't have the likes of Ganguly, Lakshman, Dravid, and Tendulkar. So it's going to be a test for India as well. And but I would just maybe just change it up a bit, like you adapt to conditions more. Like you said, that inexperience. Nabi is an experienced guy. He knows he's played IPL and stuff, but maybe the thinking, the coaching staff around him or the players around him, I don't know what it is, but they just adapt to conditions a bit more and just understand the situation. But they made the most of it. They tried their best. I think at one stage Pakistan were running with it. They came back really strong. Afghanistan, they took it deep, but it was always going to be a mountain to climb when you're going for your port and you're defending in Dubai conditions.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a fair point. Moving on to Pakistan, I think what they will be very happy with the way they started off. They've played the three harder teams, so to say,
Yeah,
in India, New Zealand, and in Afghanistan. Now they have the easier of the lot, and
unscathed.
three brilliant victories. Well matched to in bowling department, batting department, fielding also. They, usually you see Pakistan drop a couple of catches here and there, but that hasn't happened too much this time around. So they've been on all three departments. I think they've looked solid, and they'll take a lot of confidence going into this. I think the likes of Matthew Hayden, Vernon Philander, these guys coming into the think tank has helped them, and I think that there is that respectability that Pakistan has brought back after these beautiful games that they've played, and hats off to them and more power to them.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic. Normally, they get themselves into a tough position and then they just corner tigers. They just come back and start beating everybody when they put in a position. But here, from day one, they've been clinical. Apart from the warm-up games, since the group stages started, they've been so good. It's been very uncharacteristic. I haven't seen Pakistan play like this in a long time, where they're beating teams either clinically or even in tough situations. Like today, it was a tough situation in the end. I was sitting with both sets of fans. They were both stressed out. Pakistani fans were equally stressed out, right? But I knew that deep down these guys will win the game, just because the way they started in this tournament, the way they've been beating India in New Zealand as well, it gives them a lot of confidence. And now after this game, that confidence will grow. The only thing is, now in the knockout, you don't want something what India has done in the past, where they dominate teams and then they go in the knockout one bad day and you're out of the tournament. You don't want that. Sometimes you're playing at such high level that one game you drop, and if that game is is a knockout game, which India has done in the past, then it's going to be a problem for Pakistan. But so far, so good. They've been brilliant.
I agree 100%. Some interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they go about the rest of the tournament. I
Yeah.
think they are definitely favorites. I think they've just gone past a little bit past England as well in terms of favorites for me right now with the way they've been performing.
I'll ask you that
So,
tomorrow,
so let's see
depending
how
on
it
the
goes.
result. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Your player of the match.
My player of the match, it has to be Asif Ali. I think Shine bowled really well with the ball. So did what's his name? Imad Wasim was fantastic. He bowled really well. The way he's bowling in the power play has been outstanding, man. He's been underrated so far. If you look at his figures, like 5-6 economy, picking up wickets. He's starting that wicket, trail. Abu Bakr, I love bro. Abu Bakr should have been in the game, man. Next level stuff. Pathans everywhere. I love Afghanistan. But yeah, I was saying the player of the game. I was talking about Imad Wasim, but yeah, I would give it to Asif Ali, because in pressure to come and hit 4 sixes, like you said, doesn't matter what stage it is in the tournament. It's still 4 sixes, and it was brilliant. Abu Bakr is asking, how was the atmosphere, bro? This was the best atmosphere I've ever seen in a cricket game. Because I was also in a section where it was full. It was where the
I
Chacha
don't
was,
think
so
there
I
was
don't know.
any. I don't think there was any section that was not full today. I think that the way it was showing in the TV as well, it seemed
Yeah,
extremely packed.
outstanding. And this, like, I haven't been to many. I've been to quite a few cricket games, but not that many compared to others. But this for me was an outstanding atmosphere, just because also the game was close, right? If it was one-sided, maybe it would have but the atmosphere from 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock was like just unbelievable, man. And it doesn't matter who you support. I think it's just that buzz that you're getting. I didn't even need caffeine today. I normally have coffee every day. Today I didn't have coffee. I had the adrenaline rush the whole time, and I wasn't supporting the team. I was just a neutral, but it was brilliant. I loved it. But yeah, player of the match story was Asif Ali for me. 4 sixes. I have to give it to him. Game changer.
I think I agree with you over there. If you said anyone else, I would be surprised. That's the way you go with your player of the match ratings as usual. But I think
Yeah.
that wraps up the game between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Moving on to the slightly, like we said, a little bit to almost a dead rubber kind of game in terms of the positions that these teams are in. We'll go to West Indies versus Bangladesh. West Indies would be happy with that win, but they made hard work of it.
Yeah, they made hard work of it. I missed a bit of the game because I was on the way to Dubai. This game was in Sharjah. I was in the Dubai stadium. But Andre Russell, man, bowled really well. 13 of 6 in the last over. He defended it. Bravo as well, showing his experience. The last 2 overs, they bowled pretty well. And they got away with it. I think Bangladesh, to be honest, should have won this game. They bowled really well in the first half. They picked up wickets in the power play, put West Indies under pressure. And it was just the batting again, which has it's let them down.
Absolutely. I think we in our previous podcast we've talked about how Sunil Narayan was missed, and I still agree with that aspect of things. But what about Jason Holder? Comes in and those lusty blows in the end that are important, and then comes in with an economical spell and a wicket as well.
Game changing, man. 15 of 5, and with the ball again, 4 overs, 22 runs, 1 wicket in his first game of the tournament. This guy needs to play. I don't know why he's not playing. Yeah, he was fantastic. I don't know why he wasn't in the squad in the first place. He was in the reserves. He came because of an injury. Yeah, I think I agree with you completely, man. He's very underrated. He can provide both with bat and ball, and he showed that today. He needs to be in the team. Outstanding performance. He won them the game in that sense, right? Like with that contribution. Sorry, Don. I just want to say, Abu Bakr saying Pakistan have chased down scores around 140 easily. I want to see if they can chase around 180s. I want to see if they're going to bat first, bro. When are they going to bat first?
There's two things. One is hopefully they can bat first and see how they perform there, and two is will we see a pitch in UAE that can give us a 180 kind of a target? I don't think so.
Yeah, but I think if there is a flat wicket, they can chase it now with the likes, because if you look at there's 2-3 batsmen there. There's Fakhar Zaman, there is Asif Ali, and Imad Wasim Hassan Ali to a certain extent. I know I'm taking Hassan Ali's name, but he can tonk it around. I'm just saying big hitter, boundary hitters, right? These guys will hit the boundary, so they can chase those targets. But will they or not? That depends on the pitch. It depends on the situation. But they have batting now. Their batting is much stronger than it was maybe 1 or 2 years ago. And of course, I agree with Abu Bakr that this is the level they're comfortable with, 140, 150. But it's also a mental thing. Pakistan do get under pressure with the bat in certain situations. And I would also like to see if they can chase 180, 190. But I think they have the capability this time. It just depends on if they can mentally stay strong.
I think that's a fair point. Coming back to the West Indies and Bangladesh game, even though West Indies won this game, I feel like there's a disconnect in this team. The team is not balanced enough, in my personal opinion. I think to have batting, and when you have batting up till 9, there's no real point. Almost 9, 10. I feel like there's one extra batsman because you start off with Gale and Lewis, and then you go in with Chase, which is your anchor. Then you have very
That was your
similar.
call, by the way. I was wondering
Yes.
if you were in touch with the coach from the Middle East.
No. I was like, but then they have very similar batsmen in Puran, Hetmyer, Pollard, Russell. All these guys are hitters. So if you have 4 of these guys, Puran, Hetmyer, Pollard, and Russell, that's at 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then you don't need a Dwayne Bravo because you have Jason Holder coming in at 8. Then you have 3 proper bowlers. You don't need a Dwayne Bravo. And if you notice in the game today, Dwayne Bravo is the most expensive. He gave 9 runs in the over of his 4 overs. So you can maybe bring in an extra bowler there and maybe try Hayden Walsh Jr. over there, who missed out today. At number 9, 9, 10, and 11, you just bring Hayden Walsh Jr., Akil Hussain, and Ravi Rampal, and that's sorted because you have medium pacers and Andre Russell, Jason Holder, who can manage along with Ravi Rampal, and you have 2 proper spinners. I think that's the way they should go forward and try to see how they can win these games. But there's some responsibility on these middle order needs to happen, that they can score these 130s, 140s, and make that 160. That way, they give their bowlers enough chance. Today it was too close. They made hard work of it, like we talked. But if they want to go in and make any kind of a challenge to make the playoffs, they need to up their game significantly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Also, it's the pitches, man. That's the main thing. This same team, if this was maybe in Australia or India, you would be praising this team. You're like, wow, bro, they're smashing it out of the park. They just go from ball 1. India should do that. Other teams should do that. it's the conditions also. You have to take that into factor. Like, it's suiting subcontinent teams. It's suiting Pakistan. It suits Afghanistan also. For West Indies, it's not suiting them. It's slow and low. These are not pitches they enjoy. And I'm not blaming. You can't blame the pitch. You have to adjust. And these players need to adjust. The players you mentioned, they can rotate the strike. They're freaking talented. They've won 2 World Cups. So if you win 2 World Cups, it's not luck. Like, of course, T20, you need a bit of luck here and there. These are talented batsmen. So they need to adjust to that. Like, you talk about other teams, you look at England, these are not their conditions, but they're adjusting to it, right? They know, like, they have a similar team to West Indies in terms of aggression. But you see Jason Roy, you see Butler, they've adapted the game. They're taking a bit more time when hitting the ball. They're using their feet a bit more, their back foot, front foot. They're trying to adapt to the situation. And that's what West Indies need to do. With the same team, they can still be world champions, but you have to take consideration you need to take the conditions into factor, and they're not doing that. They're just going and swinging blindly, and it's not working out.
Yeah, let's see what happens in the next couple of games for them. But end of the road for Bangladesh, I think not much to say about them. It's been a relatively disappointing tournament for them.
I got that wrong.
You got that wrong significantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been the end of the road for
Abu
them.
Bakr is saying West Indies look a bit like Man United and Bangladesh look like Arsenal. I don't know, man. India, Man United. Man United look
shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. Pakistan is the Arsenal of cricket, bro.
Pakistan, I agreed with you when I said that. You took offense to it, but yeah, no, like sorry, you were mentioning something. I didn't know.
I just said Bangladesh. I think is pretty much the end of the road for them. Yeah,
it's over, bro. Like, they just disappointing. Like, both with bat and ball, I thought they would do much better in these conditions. Saqib Ul Hasan for me is one of the best all rounders there, and you can't rely on one player. But there's other experience. There's Mahmudullah. There's what's his name, Mushfiqur. There's Mustafizur. They have some really good players, but I guess they're missing Tamim. Gets that start and takes the pressure off. And yeah, it just didn't click. Maybe they have some problems off the field also that I'm not aware of, but yeah, it just didn't click for them.
Just one last point about the game. I think that I saw a little bit of the game, and I was also looking at extensively at the highlights and everything. I watched the whole game through together again. The fielding was miserable.
Yeah.
Unapologetically, it was like unbelievably bad. Like some very, very simple catches were dropped by both sides. Overthrows, not overthrows, misfields galore, and it was just unfortunate. That's not how you can go on and win the game. You can't click with the bat and the ball sometimes, but that's the aspect of the game that is always in your control. And if you do that, that's when you know that it's almost over for you.
Yeah, it's very costly, and these no balls. I was at the game today, the Afghanistan-Pakistan. There was a few no balls which are not necessary for both sides. It cost them. It cost a few extra runs, which is like you need to be a bit more disciplined in terms of extras and in terms of fielding. You have to be disciplined. I saw some misfields here as well. Pakistan have improved their fielding, but yeah, West Indies of Bangladesh, I saw the beginning of I saw maybe like 60-70% of the game, and there was issues with the fielding on both sides, West Indies and Bangladesh, and you have to pick it up, especially if you're going to come up against a champion side. The fielding will be important. You have to pick it up.
Yep, I agree 100%. I think any man of the match before we call it day?
Jason Holder, man, full bias. Sunrisers, let's go. There's three. Would you
retain him? Would you retain him?
No, Rashid Khan and Kane Williamson.
Oh, that was a trick question. I'm glad you remembered.
You told me the rules that you can only do 2 foreigners. So, yeah, Rashid Khan and Kane Williamson. You could keep Holder as the captain because he's such a utility player, but Williamson is a class player, so you can't really get rid of him.
Yep, I agree 100%. That wraps up the games today. Tomorrow, before I let you go, tomorrow's games. Who will we got? South Africa versus Sri Lanka. Your thoughts?
South Africa versus Sri Lanka. South Africa slight favorites. They have some confidence after beating West Indies, and the Quinton de Kock matter has been solved. So he will be playing. Most likely, he said he'll be. So I don't know if he's going to be in the 11, but they've solved that issue. He's given his statement, and things have looked like they've resolved. Thank God he hasn't gone back. And he's a class player. Good to see that the off-field stuff has been solved. And if you're looking at Sri Lanka, I think this is like we mentioned yesterday. There's some talented players there, but again, like Afghanistan, lacking experience and they big match temperament. Maybe these conditions they will give South Africa. Of course, will give South Africa a tough fight. It will be a game, but South Africa, that bowling attack is just a tad bit too strong, I feel. Sorry, I can't. Yeah, I now I hear you.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
get you.
Yeah, I agree with your points over there. I just said just before we go, the big clash. I mean, of course, the second biggest clash of the weekend after the India New Zealand is the England versus Australia. I think the
Yeah.
winner. I think Michael one tweeted. I think the winner will probably finish top of their group
Yes.
and will avoid Pakistan, which will be a big thing to avoid at this point in time. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, you always want to top the group, no matter who's in the semifinals. And the thing is, I don't think semifinal, whoever you play, you have to beat them. India came first in 2019. They were going to play New Zealand, who were fourth, and they lost the game. So I don't. It doesn't really matter, I think. But of course, you want to come first just to have that confidence. You want just in case you play that team again in the final, you know that you've beaten them, and you want to beat that side who's been unbeaten. And definitely, this is going to be a big game. England go in favorites, which is opposed to our childhood, where Australia have been favorites in these games, in World Cups especially. England go in favorites, and but you can't count this Australian side out. There's some quality players there. Glenn Maxwell, David Warner back in form, so some quality players there, and they have a really good bowling attack. But of course, it's going to be a challenge against Joss Butler and the boys.
I think it's going to be Australia tomorrow, just a surprise one. So Australia will finish top of group, England will finish second, Pakistan will finish first here, India will finish second. India will thump Australia in the semi-finals and then go on to win the World Cup against Pakistan.
Oof, in the final. I'm not going too far. I'm just going to say Josh Butler is going to hit Mitchell Starc for a scoop. I don't know if it's going to be a 4 or 6, but that's my prediction.
Oh wow, good prediction. I went all the way to the finals. You went to one ball.
Yeah, I can't think too far. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. I think a lot of people are going in your line of thinking right now. I think that's what everyone wants. That's what the heart wants. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and you still have to be thinking. If it happens, it happens. But too far ahead, because it's still cricket, right? Like anybody, you can't count out other teams as well. And India will have to play some good cricket. They'll have to. We know what they're capable of it, but it could be one bad game and they're out of the tournament. So they have to pull up the socks very quickly. I'm not counting them out, but I'm not counting them fully in either. So only time will tell.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to what tomorrow brings and the rest of the tournament, of course. And as usual, we'll catch you right after the games.
Yeah, I would just tell our viewers, and you especially, if you ever get the chance, just watch Asif Khan bowl live, man. It's a treat to watch. Like, I know, like, we've seen him with Sunrisers and stuff like that, but like today I watched him live, and the way he was bowling, he made it difficult for batsmen. Like, Shoaib Malik did hit him for a 6, but before that there was a lot of respect. There was plays and misses. There was edges as well. He bowled really well. So shout out to him as well.
Bro, yeah, make dua that I make a lot of money that I can go and watch these games every now, because from North America you're never going to see these games. I'm going to have to go to
you just need to ditch some of those fancy trips. You go to the hill stations and stuff, and and Cancun and all those things. If you ditch those trips, you'll be able to go. Don't worry, it's cheaper here. It's cheaper here than America. But yeah, no, it was world class bowling. Like, I really. That stood out for me. That and Shaheen Afridi's bowling as well. They both stood out for me, and of course those 4 sixes.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to watching Rashid on the stadium live once, or maybe a few times at least. Hopefully, if I get the opportunity. But yeah, catch you right after the games tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you so much, and take care.